So we're going to talk about two major concepts in the next couple lessons: color correction and color grading. If you were going to ask 10 different colorists what the difference between color correction and color grading is, you'd probably get 10 different answers. So I'm going to lay out how I think about these terms and how it can be really helpful for our workflow. So let's first talk about color correction. Color correction at its core is just that. It's taking the colors that you record from a camera and making them look correct. This is usually when you would fix things like exposure, that's basically how bright the image is, contrast, the difference between the bright parts and the dark parts, saturation, how poppy and colorful the colors are, and color casts, things like if the scene looks too blue or yellow or pink or green. The idea is to make sure that all of this stuff is set right so that what we saw with our eyes on set is how the footage looks. So this is a process of not only fixing things that we maybe didn't get right on set, but also just making the types of images that you get from the camera look good on a monitor. Modern cameras these days shoot in a color space that's called a log color space. And what it's really trying to do is get the most information packed into one image that it can. And because of a lot of technical mumbo jumbo, the image ends up looking really gray and desaturated, and definitely not very pleasing to the eye. The good news is that there's a lot of information in these kind of images that we can take into something like the color page and adjust to make look really nice. So that's color correction. It's not only fixing problems, but also changing the colors that the camera sees into the colors that look good on the screen. Now, when we talk about color grading, the way that I think about grading, it's more what you would call the creative process. So you might start with an image that looks nice like this, and then you would change it creatively to maybe not look 100% realistic like this shot does, but to look stylistic. So like this shot has kind of these green undertones. It's a lot more harsh. This one's a little bit softer, kind of like an Instagram kind of look. And this one's obviously black and white and really gritty. These are all things that are not completely dependent on how the image is shot, but the creative choices that you make in post. That isn't to say that you shouldn't plan for this kind of stuff while you shoot, because you definitely should, but the process of color grading is not necessarily making the colors look accurate. It's creating a style or a tone that we want to create for our images. And this is one of those things where you can pretty easily go crazy and get stuff looking a little bit tacky. For instance, this top shot, I definitely overdid just to kind of accentuate the differences between the shots. This is probably farther than I would normally go as far as contrast and harshness and everything. So it's one of those things that's really easy to overdo, especially when you see a movie that has a lot of strong colors like Joker or The Matrix, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, those kind of movies. Color grading, like most things in post-production, is always pretty wise to keep it subtle and tasteful. But those are the differences in the terms as far as I see them. Color correction is taking what the camera sees and making it correct. And color grading is taking an image and adding style to it.